Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hope
Hello,
everyone's
everybody.
well.
How you?
It's Champions League. Like, I'm actually excited already. Any surprises in the semi-final? 4 teams left.
I would say it's not really a surprise, but I mean, we expect always that PSG will go further than they are in every way because of the kind of stuff they have. But so not being here is a surprise, but not really. I think the four teams there merits to be there. They fought for it and they are there. So yeah. But
You know, I expected Napoli to actually make it to the semi-final. But
I think personally that was my surprise to having them lose to AC Milan.
yes,
Although, yeah, I wasn't expecting them to lose to AC Milan. Although I was just a few weeks before that semi-final, they lost to AC Milan in the league. So I think AC Milan actually came to Naples and beat them 4-0. So I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, on a single game of anything could happen. And I feel that gave AC Milan some confidence, level of confidence, even going to that semi final. So I'm not
but I
surprised
felt
AC
it was because
Milan.
Osimhen didn't play the first leg. If he had actually played, I felt Napoli would have gotten something from there.
Possibly because Napoli has currently built his Osimhen is like the he completes everything. It's similar to how at the time Messi was to Barcelona. Every other person does a lot of work, but he's like the final person that completes the play. So when Osimhen is not there, Napoli will definitely still have the possession, but that cutting edge and the final third is often lacking. So I think that's where Napoli failed this time.
and then
Okay.
the confidence too, because sometimes like when you have like a team that depends on a player, when the player is not
Yeah.
there, the confidence of the whole team goes down. Even though there are others who could do those things, but they don't feel secure. So insecurity comes in when the player that does everything is not there, and you see them like being sluggish and all that. So I think that's what happened with Napoli. But I believe that I think all the four teams that made it, they were strong and they are good.
Yeah.
4 teams in the semi-final: City, Madrid, the two Milan, AC Milan, and Inter Milan. I actually felt it's not balanced. Two strongest sides and two. Let me not use the word not too strong sides. I would have actually felt maybe Man City, Madrid, either sides maybe meeting at the final. That was what I actually wanted, but we never can tell. So that match, what do you see happening? Let's talk about City, Madrid. The first leg now. Let's concentrate on the first leg. Surido, Pep is your guy. Don't forget.
Okay, so as a Man U fan, I don't know. I'm not very excited at seeing the noisy neighbors looking very strong in a situation where they might as well go on to win the Champions League. There wouldn't really be so much to be able to use to banter them and say, all you guys have money. There's no CL. But I think that they really do have what it takes to at least do the business at the Etihad. Let's not forget they did do the business at the Etihad last season as well, and I think it was a semi-final as well until the
The
miracle.
second leg. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Rodrigo brace. So, and this year, of course, they've strengthened with the striking Viking. So it's really going to. I never write off Madrid. I mean, let's not lie. By and large, this is their cup. You know, I mean, they've lost the title, the La Liga title, basically, and so they will be out to make sure that they approach this match with as much caution but precision. And I say this because people tend to feel that Madrid's firepower. I think people tend to underestimate Madrid's firepower, but I think that they do so much. There's so much guile in that team. You know, they rested a lot of players in their loss some days ago. So I know they are very, very pumped up for this. I feel that their backline, though, will have a lot to contend with. I am not sure how Pep will set up his offensive players, really. But of course, you can be sure that De Bruyne will play, Haaland will play. Those two are developing a partnership that is really, really very powerful. So we'll see how the Militaos of this world and the rest of them are able to keep those guys quiet. But again, City does have a relentless goal machine in Haaland, and I really believe that they will edge it. Maybe Madrid might score one or two, but I think Man City will definitely edge the first leg. You know, I would expect Madrid to do the usual rope a dope they do when they go to when they are away. They will absorb pressure. They will see if they can take the opportunities, and they are often ruthless with the opportunities they get. I mean, Vinicius is ruthless. Baba Karim is ruthless. I don't. I'm not very sure Man City will shut Madrid out totally, but I think Man City would edge it. That's the way I feel this first leg will go.
Okay.
I feel the same way. The key player for Man City is De Bruyne. So forget. I mean, he's Haaland. There's no. I remember Lenivar when he was bought. I told you that nobody's going to stop Man City this time. I told you that because I know the partnership with De Bruyne will definitely change Man City, and Man City has a lot of people that can supply, but De Bruyne is the key. So if they're able to hold De Bruyne down, I don't know the plan they will have, but if they're able to hold De Bruyne down, and Haaland could be controlled, he has been controlled a few times, even in the Premier League. So holding De Bruyne is the key. If Real can get De Bruyne down and not allow him to do what he normally does, it will affect Haaland's game. And if Haaland doesn't score, the longer a player doesn't score in a game like him, the more frustrated they become, the more mistakes they make. So that's my own thing. But I think that Man City really went out this time to buy Haaland for anything it costs, for anything it takes, because this is the thing they want. This is all Man City has been looking for. And I think that they have decided that this is their year. If they don't get it this year, I think even Pep will start getting some mental, psychological problems. This is all he has ever dreamt of. This is all that has been denied him again and again and again. And I think that all his arsenal will be put forward to get this thing done. And I think if they win the first leg, then they would have won the two legs. I'm telling you, they will go and defend, and that's it. So I think that I'll give it to them on paper, but thinking that Madrid will just walk in and go away will be a joke. They have all the things they need, and if they get their tactics right about keeping De Bruyne off the game, then they will definitely have something to do, even in the second leg. But if they lose the first leg, I think it will be that's the end of it.
Okay. Okay.
Can I say something? So what I increasingly find out is that while De Bruyne is definitely that the engine that allows Man City to express itself in its forward play, I think that sometimes you underestimate the relentlessness of Haaland. There have been few times in the Premiership whereby it seems Haaland was going to be thwarted throughout the match. Case in point, that Arsenal match where it seemed Ramsdale was like, had his number. But you saw what happened. So I'm saying that's true, But Haaland himself doesn't get the number of goals he gets just through craft. He also does some graft. He's also always relentless. He's always going forward and trying to see opportunities. And whether there's a De Bruyne or not, to be fair, Man City also has some very talented midfielders, or at least attack-minded midfielders. The Silvas of this world and all of that. Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, those guys are very effective. And they have one or two players too that can somehow do it with set pieces. We've seen what Ake has done. I mean, again, it's not
the complete team.
Yeah, it's not always really. To be fair, that is what really separates the big boys from the also rans. You will have your main man, but there should be others who will pick up the tab once your main man has been caged, and so I think Man City have other options. And I feel that aside the Pep's village people that usually make him overthink, if he keeps it simple, but makes sure that everybody's thinking De Bruyne, and plays his other attack-minded players in the way they should, then I really see. I don't think that keeping De Bruyne quiet would necessarily mean Man City will still win the match. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
One thing I can say is this current Man City team is basically constructed for the Champions League. If we look at previous season, Pep has always been about you pass the opposition to death. But this season, he basically brought in Haaland specifically for the Champions League. Pep has had to make changes in his philosophy. Pep is about keep on moving the ball, constant movement. But you saw starting from when he first moved Stones to the midfield, basically playing like 5 defenders. So Stones starts at the back, then moves into the midfield. He basically found a way of utilizing Haaland. The beginning of the season, there was an issue. How do we get Haaland to fit into this team? And they struggled. You recall the FA game they played against Arsenal. They beat Arsenal 1-0, but you could clearly see Arsenal played better. Yeah, eventually City scored. But when you see what happened this year after the World Cup, when he finally made those changes, you could clearly see that dominance. Against Bayern, basically at times I was wondering whether I was watching Mourinho coaching Man City, because you could clearly see a Man City that could slow down the game, take their time, and then suddenly switch. They did the same thing against Arsenal recently. Sometimes you see them passing the ball. So basically, that team is being built for the continental game, about being patient, about not always just going all out, about taking your chances. Once there's a mistake by the opponent, you punish it. The first 2 goals, watch against Bayern Munich with both legs. It was about patience, about making the right decisions at the right time. And the importance of Haaland and De Bruyne comes into these 2 games, because those 2 guys are designed. Their game now is designed about making sure the ball moves quickly from defense into attack. The slow build-ups, the build-ups that were required about passing the ball, passing the defense to death, which led them. Yeah, they scored many goals. They won the league last season, but they failed against Madrid. Despite their dominance against Madrid, Madrid still scored the goals that took them through. But I think he learned his lesson. As long as he doesn't overthink it, he keeps it simple, he uses the same strategy, I think eventually the Madrid team will crack. Madrid team is experienced. Let's not discount them. They are experienced. They've been there. They've done it all. But they have flaws, and it's starting to reach. That midfield is not getting any younger. What they have in experience, they can constant. If they have a team whereby you have a team that's like a battering ram, have someone like Haaland that will constantly come against you. Eventually, you make errors. Madrid last game against Chelsea, they won 2-0. But clearly, if you watch the game and forget about the goals, you realize that their defense was constantly threatened. If Chelsea had someone like Haaland, they could have won that game. But it clearly tells you that they still have issues. I saw Modric make like 2 or 3 errors, basically make wrong passes, which another team, a good striker, that would have led to goals. So it clearly tells you that they have flaws, they have the experience. If you're playing against Madrid, make sure you minimize your errors, make sure that you tackle that defense. Do not allow them pass out from the defense. And I think City is currently has the manpower up front to do that. It's just like Enes said, let Guardiola not overthink. Just keep it simple. Do what he's been doing the past few weeks in Premier League. And I think he'll definitely win that first leg. It depends on Pep. Pep eventually is the key person in this match.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows Ancelotti is Ancelotti. He's a fox. He's beaten everyone. He's done it every way. He's played different kinds of football. But there've been so many good points from the guys so far tonight, and I have to keep thinking that the overall feeling is that Pep has the balance right this time. That Madrid team is 1 year older. If they have one key injury or just someone who isn't playing perfectly, especially in their midfield, that can hurt them. But I really, really think, Pep doesn't have to do tiki-taka anymore. That we don't have to pass teams to death. He can play lots of ways now. He can keep the ball. He can go long. He can literally play one up front and hit the ball long if he wants to, because he has a bulldozer. And even if the bulldozer keeps 2 or 3 people busy, you've got Mahrez, you've got Grealish playing well, you've got pace. You could even someone like Alvarez could make a difference over 2 legs and come on for 5 minutes and just nick a goal. So I really think on balance, and it's difficult for me to say because to be honest, I don't really mind if City goes on to win the Champions League. I don't support them. I don't mind if Madrid wins the Champions League. But in a way, a little part of me would like to see Pep fail. No one likes to be negative like that, but I would love him to not get this one because he gets so much. He has so much success all the time. I would love him not to get this one with City.
See bad belly people though.
Yeah, but that's me being very cool. So you can ignore me for that one. One thing I would say is that I still think you can score against City, and yes, they're going to score against you. They can hurt you in many ways now, but I think you can score against City, and I think Madrid will score against City, but will they score enough? I think that's the key. That's the key from me. No more away goals, so that's not a factor. I don't know. It's that City second leg, if I remember correctly. So, is the home fan a massive advantage? Not necessarily. Anyone who's been to that stadium knows it's not a massive advantage. City being at home second leg. So, it's not like someone's going to Anfield second leg. If it was Bernabeu second leg, I would probably say, that could really swing it. But on balance, I have to say, I think this is going to be City's one, and whoever wins this match will beat the Italians because neither of those Italian teams are strong enough, in my opinion. But we can talk about that next.